The video was supposed to be out in December of last year. In my defense, I will say I didn't specify which December, I just hinted 2018, and again, in my defense, there is a reason why I am a year late. Before getting a digital release, the only way to play XXL 2 was to own a physical copy, and I have, but there was a big problem. I could never manage to make it work, even the installation was a pain. I had to turn my computer French.
We surrender! Ah!
Change my system locale just to install the game, and it didn't run. I tried the only solution I found, but without success, so I decided to wait until the official release. But even then, it wasn't a smooth sail. It didn't recognize my PS2 controller. I'm not the only one with the same problem. Different brand controllers are not recognized too. My solution? Wait until I have Xbox One controller. It works flawlessly. Let's for a second time kick some buttocks. These Romans will never learn. One last thing before continuing, I suggest watching my review of XXL/Kickbuttix because there will be the inevitable comparisons. The premise is quite simple. All the druids gather in a forest to discuss Caesar's attempt to conquer the Gaulish village. In the bushes they are being spied by a Roman with rather familiar looking goggles. After Get a Fix, the Gaulish druid gives a signal, Caesar and the Roman army arrest the other druids. Get a Fix arranged an ambush. Then the spying Roman goes to Asterix and Obelix to tell them what Get a Fix did. There we learn his name.
My name is Sam Schiffer, Gaul, and I should know a traitor when I see one. I'm a traitor myself. Traitor to Rome. I'll not betray treachery till treason as reason of Caesar.
Pretty, but I didn't understand a word of what he said, Asterix.
Here's one of many game references. You probably figured it out before me even telling you. Of course, our duo doesn't believe it, so they set out to find Get a Fix in the place where Schiffer told them, Las Vegum.
What's that, Las Vegum?
Las Vegum, located in the heart of Rome, this city of luxury and pleasure is dedicated to the pursuit of sporting entertainment for the greater happiness of Romans everywhere. Las Vegum is round-the-clock gladiator combat to the goriest death. It's skimpily clad slaves fed to hungry lions 7 days a week. But Las Vegum is above all a unique welcome and a festival atmosphere every day of the week in a fairy tale setting. Cross the romantic hills of Lutetia as if you were really there. Laugh out loud with the joyful antics of Pirate Island and spend an unforgettable night in the pure opulence of Caesar's palace. Las Vegum, the Roman holiday you'll never forget. Opening soon.
A Jules Caesar production.
You see him throughout the 10-12 hour campaign acting as a tutorial or showing you where to go and sometimes as comic relief.
We wait for you, Sam Schiffer?
Go on ahead, Gaul. I'll catch you up.
The plot is not going to win any awards, but it does the job. I would appreciate it if it was more involved, but nevertheless, it's fine. You know that Get a Fix is not a traitor. Whoops, spoilers. In the intro cutscene, it's obvious, but who is pretending to be him is another question. It has something to do with raiding. Before continuing with the gameplay, I want to emphasize on something important. I will bash the game a lot, but if this is your first XXL game, buy it on a discount. It can be quite enjoyable experience, but the combat is not very deep and can get repetitive. On the store page is written they have enhanced the graphics, but I can't tell you how true is that. They're good, but £25 is a bit too much for a 14-year-old game. Also, when I say the gameplay is slowed down, it doesn't mean it's snail-paced. If I have to be honest, running the game on a modern PC without a hassle is a joy. The gameplay is quite simple, which is its strength and weakness. You control Asterix and Obelix. With the press of a button you can switch between them. To be honest, I didn't find any difference playing with both of them. Obelix have slower attack speed, but I can't confirm if he does more damage. In the first game you can play with him in specific places, so this is a welcome change, even if there isn't much difference between the two characters. The only thing missing is co-op. Almost forgot. You can still send dogmatics to bite Roman soldiers with the press of a button to stun them. As for the combat, it's the same as the first one. you have attack, jump, slide, before it was a dash but it's essentially the same, and grab. And as before, you will face many Roman soldiers. The first thing I noticed when I start playing it is the initial speed of the combat. It's slower. In the first game you have energy meter on the left side of the screen that it fills when beating up enemies. Asterix speed is good without feeling it. With the increase of the bar he becomes even faster. Reaching the top you can perform combos and Asterix is like a chipper. If there are no soldiers around, it depletes slowly. The whole mechanic incentivizes faster and aggressive combat, which keeps the gameplay fun. In XXL 2 the mechanic is changed somewhat. The initial speed of Asterix and Obelix is slower, which is a stark contrast from the first game. Here is a comparison gameplay. There is still a similar method depicted as Flame, this time it's called Rage, but it runs out really fast and the combat goes constantly between slow and fast, which becomes annoying. You can't keep the tempo high, which was the appeal for me in the first game, and just for that reason the game feels a lot slower. Combos are another difference. As I said in the first game, filling up the bar allows you to make combos, presumably you bought one. Each of them depletes a chunk of that energy. The most powerful drains the whole bar, but you can quickly restore it with what's left from the enemies. In XXL 2 you are much more restricted. At first you have one flame, but you can upgrade it to 3, but not when you want, when you're given the opportunity. But the rage doesn't have anything to do with the combos. Just keep the characters beating soldiers faster and it takes less hits to do so. They are only 3 and limited to when you get the magic potion. Why? Why would you set those limitations? This is another reason why the game feels slower. And why would you trim down the combos to 3? One of the combos from the first game, grabbing and slamming the enemy into the ground, is now just grab and jump, and it feels less impactful. The dev took part of the fun out of the game. From the 3 combos you can buy, just one is kept from the first game. The other 2 are new. The first is the Twister combo. It's not even called the same here. It's not as impressive as the first game. Here's another comparison footage. To me, the tornado from the first game is much more appealing. Another disappointment. Beside the visual difference, there is one more. You have to pump the X button, in my case, to expand the tornado, which is a neat idea. This applies to the other 2. The next is Meteor Shower. Not so visually impressive. And the third and most useful for me is this. I don't even know the name. It's useful because Obelix is running around fast, obliterate enemies and collect the helmets simultaneously. The currency is still what's left from the soldiers. The helmets this time stay longer and it's less likely to miss collecting them. Do you like references to other games? Well, you have come to the right place. XXL2 is full to the brim with them. More than half of the soldiers are references to other games. You have Sonic, Pac-Man, Rayman, Ryu, Mario from Super Mario Sunshine, and Lara Croft. It's also chock full of references in the level design to Tetris, Bomberman, Unreal, Quake 3, Pikmin, Space Invaders, and even some that I missed like Zelda, Taken, tons of Mario Easter eggs, Sly Cooper, and many more. There is a link in the description with full, I think, list of references. I am all in for Easter eggs, but XXL2 is the only thing that is going for. It's like the dev tried to do something different and went too far and the game became a homage to other games, not its own entity. Not always disappointing. The first game, some enemies have shields to block your hits, but with persistence you eventually get to them. Here you can't do that. You have to use several of the available regular moves to break the shield, most useful being the stomp, and then you can leave only their shields on the ground. This adds a bit more thinking to the simplistic gameplay, but some like the Pac-Man soldier are immune to some moves and other tactics are needed. Rayman enemy needs stomping to get killed or he just gets up again. Later they use the same tactic for another enemy, a zombie. It's essentially a reskin. The most fun I had was with challenges. When you enter an area, you'll notice a punching bag behind bars. When you clear the area or do something to help you progress further into the game, the bars will disappear. Punching the bag will start the challenge. You have to defeat 3 waves of enemies for a certain amount of time. The reward is helmet, and you also keep the one that fall from enemies in the challenge. This were very fun and tough fights, and will test your crowd control skills. In the first game, I used slamming the enemy to stun the others. Here, spinning a soldier does the same job. This is the best way to keep others away from you. You will over-reliant on that move, but it's the best way because of the sheer amount of enemies of different kind and because they are way more aggressive than the first one. The wind-up for their attack is shorter, so going like this in the second game is almost impossible. Often I relied on jumping to avoid hits followed by stomping. In the challenge it's vital to do, but it kinda breaks the flow of the combat. And in the levels there is over-reliance on throwing stun enemies at the target to progress. This means stop, spin, hit others, throw, rinse and repeat. I'm not fond of that because it breaks the flow of the combat and gets a bit boring. There is one interesting difference from the first game with the enemies. Some have an icon of present above their head. What you will get is shown in the left down corner of the screen along with the combo you have to perform to receive what's offered. And this could be shield, which acts as armor, meat to restore your health, multiplier or magic potion. They removed the multipliers. It's not a big deal because at the end I bought everything with just a little bit of grinding. Maybe for 5 minutes in an arena that gives you a lot of helmets. The boss is a step in the right direction from the first game, but nothing memorable. You fight the same giant enemy, but the methods of defeating each are different. Here's where I died the most, especially on the second boss, because beneath the arena is endless abyss and you can move in what you think at first is a cutscene. With tons of enemies on screen, I couldn't see Asterix and he fell down. Actually, the game is not very difficult. When you buy the upgrade to fall meat from enemies, it's even easier, so crank up the difficulty to the hardest. The camera had some slight issues at certain places. It couldn't rotate through solid objects, but this was very rare and it was not intrusive. The things you can buy with helmets are more than the first game and they are fine. Some are passive like more health, others upgrade the existing regular moves, and so on, nothing out of the ordinary. With the exception of more health and maybe the combos, the others don't feel necessary to complete the game, because it's that easy. Maybe you're asking yourself, how about the magic potion? It's not so powerful. Even when you get it, it doesn't have the same explosion with the shockwave as the first game. That's not a big deal. What is, however, is Asterix feels less powerful than the first game. In XXL, he one-hit every single enemy. In this one, they need more, and again, this slows down the game. Here's another comparison footage. You can see the clear difference I'm talking about. I didn't like the music that much. It's fine, but most of the tracks felt like 5-second loops. There are some catchy, but they are few and far between. Also, some are taken from the first game. Yeah, they reused the music from the first game. What they reused and I approve is the sound effects. I still love punching Roman soldiers and hear their comical screams while flying away to space. It's satisfying as hell. The small visual detail that the dev added, which I adore, is when you are done with an enemy, only their bullets is what's left from them, and when you beat them they are still stretching even more than before. I love it. Levels are actually good, mostly interiors without the big open outer areas of the first game. Now they are smaller. I kinda miss the big ones for a reason I will discuss later in the video. The whole game takes place in Las Vegum. It's a mix between a casino and a theme park. Everywhere in the levels there are slot machines. You can spin them for a certain amount of helmets and try to win something. Don't. I rarely won something. In the last level the costs become very high and the reward most likely is nothing. Even in the game, the house always wins rule applies. All the levels are theme based. Egyptian, French,
We surrender! Ah!
etc. They have tons of small details everywhere. Textures are much better than the first game, very colorful, and as an architecture much more diverse. As I said, I miss the open areas of the first game because here there is no exploration. In XXL there was a point of searching everywhere. There was almost all the time something out of sight. That's why the camera took some weird angles from time to time. You see a stack of boxes, jump on them and you'll probably find a multiplier, golden laurel, a collectible in that game, or even a magic potion. See a button, punch it. You may need to find a couple or more, but eventually you'll get rewarded. Here there are two collectibles, crystal helmets and postcards. You don't need to search for them that hard. they are out in the open. You don't even have to work for them. If the helmet is in a cage, you just need to progress in the level and it will show you when the cage is gone. I know I'm bashing the game so hard, but I still had some fun. If you never played the first game, I would still recommend getting it, but on sale, at least 50% or more off, especially if you don't want to bother with physical copy of XXL, as the sequel is disappointing. The dev dumbed down the game in every single way. It feels like the studio tried to differentiate from the first game, but they went too far. It's no longer paying homage to the source material, but to other gaming franchises. There are too many references. It lost its identity. The most disappointing thing is the gameplay. The whole idea is Asterix and Obelix are far stronger and smarter than the Roman soldiers. The gameplay is no longer fast and it doesn't incentivize the aggressive gameplay from the first game. You have to play more defensively. There are fewer combos and what is available doesn't look and feel that impactful. Even the magic potion is dumbed down. They even took exploration out. In a sequel you have to upgrade, not downgrade. Also, not all controllers are recognized. I don't hate the game, I'm just disappointed. I said the simple gameplay is strength and weakness of the game. What I mean is, you can pick it up and play without thinking too much, but it's not very deep. In XXL 2, this is even more true. I can't say the first game had a complex fighting system, but it was more fun than the second. Also, the sliding sections on Obelix are gone too. What I would suggest is get the first game for PC, PS2 or GameCube. It's much more fun. On 21st of November 2019, XXL 3 is coming out. It looks quite different from the first two games. Hopefully it's fun.